Paltrocast.
Nathan, thank you for taking the time today. Jonathan, you as well. Nathan, when did you first learn about Jonathan and his team?
Oh, I think that was actually 2017 World Championships. Just one of those weird things. I think my mom was sitting next to, it's a small world in the swimming community. My mom is good friends with other people. I think Jonathan knew a sibling of one of the other swimmers, and then kind of got connected, started talking. Hey, Nathan's a public health major. He's interested in this stuff. And, that kind of got the ball rolling, and the rest is history. So it's 2017. My gosh, it's, coming up on here for the greater part of a decade, which is crazy.
Yeah, usually these kinds of partnerships, 1 or 2 years done. That's not the case. And you're one of the fantastic athletes that's working with Jonathan and team. So Jonathan, when did you first learn about Nathan?
Man, I think Nathan just hit it right out the park. I grew up with a good friend whose sister's Leah Neal. So I think it was around 2016, 2017, sort of learning about the swimming community. I was told that Nathan obviously is big in the community, big into health, big into personal health. So I think you're right. I just connected with his mom, told him what we were doing. Probably had to be one of the craziest and weirdest pitches I've given in terms of stool collection and turning that into next-gen probiotics. But I think Nathan was excited to learn more, and the rest is history.
So Nathan, this is intended to be a huge compliment. So there's certain sports, when you hear that the person is professional in that, you go, okay, so that person is fit. That person can do anything they want. Their body is state of the art. And then there's other sports where you go, okay, cool. You don't have to be in shape, etc. And swimming is obviously the pinnacle of fitness, pressure, staying on top of the game. When did you decide, hey, I am a career swimmer? When did that happen for you?
That's kind of a dual nature thing. I chose swimming, and swimming also chose me. I just always had a big dream, or at least, I had a big dream, and then I had little dreams that would lead me to that path. And I was fortunate in that I was able to achieve those little dreams and continue to achieve those little dreams and continue to achieve those little dreams, whether it be make the state meet, whether it be make the sectional meet, which means our kind of region of the country. And then finally, I totally rode another athlete's success to my first nationals meet. But that was a big eye-opening thing for me, because I was there and I got to watch Michael Phelps. I got to watch other guys. I remember seeing the 400 freestyle American record get set, and that's when I started dreaming. I'm at this meet too. He's at this meet. Like, yeah, why can't I do it? So it was a very linear, like, well, no career is truly linear, but it was always like thinking about the next step. Think about the next step. And then finally it got to be my chance to look at colleges. And I did my best to put myself in a place where I felt like, I could achieve that major international level of success. And that was Cal for me, because they had done it over and over and over, and they are still doing it over and over and over. So hopefully, every young athlete that's looking at Cal these days is thinking the same thing that I was back in 2005, 2006.
A quick follow-up question to that. What's your number 2 sport?
Like that I have some level of competence in, or that I enjoy.
I'm curious about that, because as I said, swimming is just, when you hear somebody's a swimmer, you go, they can do anything. They can sprint, they can jump, they can do everything.
I think I was a decent goalie in soccer, but I just didn't really like it. It was so boring, just kind of sitting back there and waiting. But I have like pretty quick reflexes, and given the time to kind of study like the body language and stuff, I think I could be decent at it. As decent as you can be at predicting where those shots go.
Yeah. Well, hey, steering it back to Jonathan for a second here. So Jonathan, when you're working with a world-class athlete like Nathan, most companies, they would just take that one and they'd run with it. But there's also Kyle, and there's Adeline, and there's Tim, and there's Krista. Who's the first person that came on board endorsement-wise, or partnership-wise, rather?
Actually, I think Nathan was one of the first, believe it or not. I think Nathan, Leah, both of them were swimmers. I think Adeline Gray one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, also came on first. And it was right around that, right after Rio, that 2016, 2017 timeframe. But the common theme is like all of them just pinnacles their respective sports, attuned to their body. But it was self-selecting, just this curiosity about, okay, what's going on in my microbiome? How can this help me? But the biggest thing was, how can this not only help me, how can this help a lot of different people? What can we learn about my health and my physiology, and how can we apply those learnings to create next generation nutrition for human health and longevity? And that was probably the most exciting thing, talking with Nathan and just his vision for what we were building. Like, there was no coercing, there was no sales pitch. It was like, here's the science. I was like, awesome, how do I get involved? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you do make the science very understandable. I am admittedly a terrible science student, but when you can break things down with a couple of bullet points, you go, oh, so it is good for you, that kind of a thing. Nathan, I assume no hesitation for you for the FitBiomics partnership?
No, I mean, I think Jonathan just said it exactly how it was. I mean, I think 2016 was when these studies, these like high level things were coming out. Oh my God, oh my goodness, like gut health is connected with physical health. Gut health is connected with emotional health. I am a product of my gut and these, I mean, Jonathan, I don't know what the numbers are, trillions and trillions of bacteria. Like that is part of me. That is part of what makes me me and makes me tick, which is like this kind of weird thing, because you inherently think like I am me because of, my DNA and my experiences, but there's also all this other stuff going on too that greatly affects who you are. And yeah, Jonathan's, I mean, at that point we were just kind of scratching the surface and being like, like what is possible? And now here we are, we've come a long way and kind of getting to where we want to go.
So Jonathan, is where the brand is at now where you want it to be, or is this just baby steps compared to where you want it to be?
I think we're and I'm sure Nathan could speak to this. When we connected back in 2017, a lot of this was just ideation and this notion of, hey, I think if we could decode the microbiome of these super performers, there's a lot of interesting microbes we could discover that we could translate into probiotics. Fast forward, several years later, we spun out of Harvard and we actually have a product on market, right? Nella, that's derived from elite athlete microbiomes, that was used by Olympians in Tokyo, that is clinically validated for not just gut health, but improved quality of sleep. So we're extremely proud of working with these elite athletes and translating microbiome data into real world efficacious products. But to your point, we're just scratching the surface. I think one of the things that really intrigued Nathan was this notion of Vianella, a lactic acid eating probiotic that fights fatigue to promote endurance. We've translated that and we're on the cusp of launching that to the market. But at the end of the day, we're recruiting more elite athletes, and the goal is to have thousands of these microbes that we could apply to different functional applications. So we're super excited because the science works and the science is real, but we know we're just scratching the surface as well.
Putting you on the spot, Nathan, how do you take your everyday supplement? For example, some people could just swallow pills or powders, no problem at all. Some people go, I put it in my energy drink or my smoothie or my coffee, or I can do anything I want. How do you take your daily supplements and the like?
I'm one of the former. I just pop the pill and take a swig of water, and that's my morning routine. It's right there in it's the top shelf of the kitchen cabinet. Very important. My wife can't reach that cabinet, so it's useless to her anyway. So that means it's my shelf, right? So that's where my Nella lives. And every morning, it's just part of my routine. Just pop it out of the little blister pack, and then go about my day.
Same question for you, Jonathan. How do you take it?
Same thing. First thing in the morning, glass of water. I guess I don't have really a separation of cupboards with my girlfriend. I think we could all reach the same sort of cupboard and stuff. But yeah, it's really easy. But I'll also say too, there's an interesting phenomenon knowing that you're taking something that you kind of built from scratch and you kind of saw the origins, the data, the culturomics that went into it, and now having it in this nice sort of capsule and nice, beautiful packaging. Sometimes it's still a little surreal, that we're building sort of the future of health in real time. And now, I always say these aren't really like supplements we're taking. It's sort of like next generation health packaged into a capsule. So every time I see it, it's just motivation to continue to take it.
This next thing I'm going to ask is not an infomercial-y question, because obviously I'm not being compensated to do this. This is actually a curiosity thing. So Nathan, for you to put Nella into your everyday diet or everyday lifestyle, was there anything that you had to eliminate or do in order for that to happen?
Well, I mean, really, it was just trust the science that Jonathan was doing. And he was willing to, share those studies and share that they're safe and talk about the manufacturing process. Supplement industry is fairly unregulated. So, just making sure we're not putting anything bad in our bodies is really important to me. I have had my own health scares and issues. I had testicular cancer, and, that's just one of those wake up moments where it's like, well, this has got to be something that's like for my long-term health, not just like, I can, this will help me in the next 4 years to help get me on the next Olympic team. It's got to be something that I feel good about, long-term.
So it's not like, hey, I had to cut out coffee, I had to cut out ice cream, nothing like that. Just apply this to your daily routine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jonathan can speak more to that. I do cut out coffee every now and then, but it has nothing to do with FitBiomics. It's more because I get, I just get hopelessly addicted and I need a hard reset. But yeah, Jonathan, maybe to you on that one.
Yeah.
No, I think we've designed this to be, in the truest sense of the word, like complement and supplemental to your diets without having to remove anything. I mean, obviously, if you talk about a capsule that benefits your digestion, it should aid in your daily, routine and diets. And obviously something that's, aiding in improved quality of sleep. Again, that's something that to support, you don't necessarily have to reduce or limit anything that you're typically doing. So it's really sort of just easy and kind of plug and play with daily routines.
Well, I've got two easy final questions for both of you. What I think are easy final questions for both of you, at least, before I let you go. And the first one is, Nathan, what's coming up for you next? Yes, there's this great partnership with FitBiomics, but are we going to see you competing in the near future? Do you have a clothing line? Is that what's coming up?
Right now, actually, no clothing line. Probably nothing in the works. I run a swim school, so right now it's summer, and it's our busy time. We're teaching as many kiddos how to swim. It's another, just in the same vein as just health and wellness. I mean, it's a safety aspect for kids to be able to jump in a pool, get to the side, and hop on out too. So that's another one of my passions that I feel strongly about. So that's what we're running these days.
Same question at you, Jonathan. You've got this big growing brand with these ongoing partnerships, but what's coming up from you and team that you're allowed to say that we don't have to just check Instagram to find out about?
Well, I kind of let it slip earlier. I mean, Nella is truly exciting, but via Nella, this is something we published in Nature Medicine back in 2019. It's an lactic acid eating probiotic that we isolated from ultra marathon runners. We've completely translated that and de-risked that, everything in terms of safety, regulatory, manufacturing. We even have done a small clinical trial on that. We're providing early access to people now in the form of Project V, where people could get it before it's released to market. So that's huge. And then I think just more partnerships. We're doing things with universities and NIL. I think there's this very interesting interface with like student athlete empowerment as it relates to microbiomes and sort of like health and biology. And then I'll say this, just truly continued collaboration with Nathan and his peers, continuing to decode microbiomes. We're building programs for cognition, strength, recovery, anything you could think of, all sourced from the finest microbiomes on Earth. So really excited to continue the process.
Last question that's going to come to both of you. Nathan first. Your old teammate, Michael Phelps, had that moment where he would have the headphones on everywhere because he wanted, I guess, people to say, what are you listening to musically? Well, on the musical end, what music do you train to if you can have headphones or music chosen by you?
Oh, good question. I mean, I just go with the Apple Music motivation playlist, just something loud, something with a strong beat.
So you go for the high BPM rather than caring about the genre.
Yeah, I go for that. If it's more of an aerobic thing and I can manage it, I'll actually listen to a podcast just because if my heart rate's at 130 or less, it's nothing I'm trying to crush myself over.
you never know when you're talking to athletes who's a speed metal person, who's a country person, who's a reggae person. You know, you'll talk to UFC fighters who are obviously trying to knock somebody out in 30 seconds, but they're all about reggae and relaxed stuff the second that they can decompress. So it's interesting to hear that it's for you just about stuff that's going to keep you going.
That's actually, I think that, I'm sorry, but you just opened up a can of worms, man. That's that is probably one of the most important aspects of being a professional athlete overall. Turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. You got to be able to, I mean, I say it's I was a cat, right? I was sprinting when I was in the water. I was doing everything at a very high level, 10 out of 10, 100% effort. The second I stopped, that was when it was, and that high level of effort would come down to even nutrition, right? Talking about refueling my body, making sure the things that in my body are going to help me recover. And then it was trying to go down to zero even as quickly as possible, whether that be meditation or, you know, the music that you're talking about, like the reggae music. And I think I really have to say that all of the high level athletes that have sustained that high level for a long time are in some way, shape, or form the same. And you know what, I mean, to bring it back to Nella too, I mean, that's one of the things that that is the best about it, is that it promotes healthy sleep. Right, I mean, that's your recovery mechanism. That's the tried and true recovery mechanism that helps all athletes, whether it be, you know, even if it's like a genius of some sort who, you know, they're playing chess and they're playing chess for 8 hours a day, or they're a poker player, or it's us where we're on the other side of the spectrum doing physical things. That sleep is so important.
Well said. Well, speaking of geniuses, last word for you, Jonathan. Music. Any preferences on your end? Anything that you have to listen to when you're developing?
I am so biased because I am a New Yorker, so I am all hip hop. I am Jay-Z, I am Nas, all of the above. I mean, I also think about just what we're doing, just how hip hop was born in New York and how it was so disruptive to the music industry. And now everything is hip hop influenced, even pop culture.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of think of like FitBiomics in that way too, right? We're almost disrupting the status quo of what, you know, healthcare is, or you know, rather than going on this very reactive like drug development route, 10 years, $1 billion to treat disease, we're sort of like bringing these microbiome innovations to market in a fraction of the time, right, to prevent disease, right?
Yeah.
And basically translating the biological data from the super fit to help everybody. That's a tangent, but I mean, in many ways, it's kind of like an art, and I take a lot of inspiration from hip hop. Because there's so much swag in it, right? And that's what we're doing as an athlete, as a scientist, as an entrepreneur, as an artist. You got to have your swag, and you're sort of like creating lyrics and science in real time, if that makes sense. But it's all, you know, part of the process and things that keep me motivated to keep going.
Paltrocast.